This week on Supercars Talk, Parity is solved, Shane doesn't like team orders, and there's more wildcards happening at Bathurst. The big question on everybody's lips this week was, has the parity problem been solved? I think the big thing can be summed up in race 2 on Sunday morning. Waters was there in the lead, Randall running 3rd, Anton in 4th. And you're like, well, 3 Mustangs in the top 4 must be parity now because everybody has to have a win. And then I realised it was Jack LeBrock running around there in 2nd place. And as everyone's been saying, there cannot be parity if Jack LeBrock in MSR is running up the front. For some reason, if a team that wasn't doing so well last year is now doing well, that means that there's not parity. So obviously still no parity. Anyway, it's hard. Anton did end up winning Sunday's race. That was tyre assisted. Some of the other Fords, or maybe most of them, didn't have a great run on Sunday. Was that though, Saturday did seem to be better for them. They seemed to be sharper in qualifying on Sunday and then went backwards in the race. Now, was that more a setup thing or was that a parity thing? It's very hard to tell. And then obviously you've got Anton winning the race with that tyre strategy. It's probably too early to say. Apparently there is going to be more testing before Sydney happens. It's hard because the Camaro guys have had 6 months to hone setups on that aero platform that they've had, while the Mustang guys have just been thrown these changes for the weekend. Couple of practice sessions on Friday, like it doesn't give you much time to really learn where it's at. And I think a lot of them probably, Groves were the classic example. They just went backwards in the race on Sunday. Maybe if they had their time again, they would hone the Saturday setup. I assume they changed some stuff for Sunday and it didn't work. So is that parity or is that setup then? It's sitting here, it's just too hard to tell. The big news this week though, Dick Johnson Racing and Cool Drive Blanchard Racing have been approved to run wildcards at Santa Ana Bathurst. They haven't actually come out and said we are definitely running them, but they've gone through the process to get these approved. So chances are the field will be 28 cars at Santa Ana Bathurst, because you probably wouldn't go through all of this if you weren't fairly certain that it was going to go ahead. Rumours are swirling that Kai Allen might be one of the drivers there at DJR with an international. Should we check the calendar and see what Scott McLaughlin and IndyCar's doing on the Santa Ana Bathurst weekends? That might have been a good one to check before I did the video. Makes logical sense on that one. And then talking about Aaron Love from the Super 2 program for Blanchards, possibly with Tim Blanchard, which then, were the rumours true that they have got an international for to partner with Todd in the other car there? I enjoy this, more cars in the field. It just adds a little bit more interest. And coming from those guys, let's take away all the parity stuff. They're going to be good quality entries. They're probably not going to be running right up the front, but they, the drivers and that being mentioned, they're not plonkers that are just paying their way to get into the field. They will actually be competitive drivers. Apparently, Tickford is the team in the crosshairs to be cut, so that we get to that magical 24 entries. Looks like they might be the ones who are selling 2 of their entitlements, contracts, or whatever, charters, what we call them now, reducing that from a 4-car to a 2-car team, so we get to that magical 23 cars, and then Blanchards get the 24th entry. That part of it still doesn't quite all make sense to me, but anyway, imagine if Waters leaves there. The 3 into 2 seats with what's left. yeah, Tickford, interesting days ahead. That really could solve a problem though if Waters and Monster are looking at not renewing their contracts there for next year. Also speaking of Tickford, Randall and Castrol had a new look over the weekend. Yeah, plain, kind of. I don't know, is it an improvement? Let me know down in the comments what you think. I'm really divided on this one. In some aspects, I think it's an improvement over the original livery, but I don't know. It still doesn't quite work for me. I just think back to, the classic Castrol liveries like on the Perkins cars, even the ones that were running around on the Kelly Mustangs there for a couple of years. It just hasn't sparked for me at Tickford. I look at it and I'm like, I don't know if I like this better or not. Whereas normally I'm pretty quick to just go, yep, that's good, that's bad. This one, I don't know. Will it grow on me? And finally for the news, Matt Cook from Premier, his sick leave or personal leave, what they were calling it, has turned into a permanent, left the team. Yeah, is this his choice or has it been fired for lack of results? If it is a fired for lack of results, I'm just like Pete Zibris seemed to be kind of going about things the right way. There was obviously the firing of Gary Jacobson kind of mid last year, but that was going for a driver that was next level up, kind of seemed to be progressing. They seem to be making the right hires, things like this. And is this a step backwards? Because they don't seem to have anyone ready to, step into that level. Time will tell, and we'll see if Matt does pop up anywhere else in the field. But just that one seems like a bit of a strange move. If it's not personal reasons and if it is a firing, as some are suggesting. Now, for the racing over the weekend, just a quick Super 2. Kai Allen took out the weekend with a first and second position. Zach Best taking out that second race. I don't want to drill in too much to try and keep this video pretty short, but the 40-minute races once again seemed to work very well. The field didn't go full Super 2. It was actually Super 3, causing more of the issues than the Super 2 guys. It was just generally better racing, it seems like. Taking away that lap count just seems to have done the trick. And there's a few guys now that are looking like, I'm not sure if they're all ready to make the step up next year, but there's definitely guys that are in that field that will be looking to for the future. Aaron Seaton also getting his first pole position in the category, although he did kind of go a little bit backwards in the races there. Now for the main racing reports, starting off first because they're last in the Teams Championship. Once again, it's Cool Drive. It's going to be hard for them to get off that bottom step until maybe next year. And even then, if it wasn't for breaking down, would we have seen Todd at all on the telecast over the weekend? It'd be difficult in their position. They've had 6 months trying to fine-tune that kind of aero balance and whatever on the car. He's got no one to bounce things off, so that would make it difficult in finding a setup direction, especially with such short sessions on the Friday. They didn't seem to spark at all over the weekend. Like Todd, he was more in that back half of the field and wasn't making kind of any impression. Although I think he was one of the fastest in one of the practice sessions, but then you don't know who's bolted on tyres and had a crack at it and who's just worked on race setups and things like that in the practices. Premier Racing, Matt Cook going, hasn't seemed to have changed anything yet. Golding did make the top 10 shootout on Saturday, but just did their Haas thing and went backwards in the races. They did get on the telecast for crashing into each other. Tim Slade tried to go down the inside of Golding going into the hairpin and didn't end so greatly with Golding's car kind of locked wheels and jumped up in the air there. It was a bit of a weekend to forget. They did also get into trouble for pushing the car out in front of Jack LeBrock as he was entering the pit lane too. Grove Racing. If qualifying decided the results for the weekend, well, they'd be on the right trajectory. Payne was 11th on Sunday, and that was the worst qualifying out of the 4 effective sessions for them. The Reynolds got in the top 10 shootout twice. Payne got in there once. But yeah, they decided to show Premier Racing how they can go backwards in the races better. Sunday was particularly difficult to watch with those guys. Yeah, they just dropped back really bad. Did they kind of go in the wrong setup direction? The one lap pace is definitely there, but yeah, is it a parity thing, or is it a setup issue with those guys? Matt Stone Racing, Jack LeBrock once again showing that his speed is not just a flash in the pan, and it is genuine speed. Yeah, don't let all the bookface commenters have you believe otherwise. He's doing a really good job this year. He did start on the front row on Sunday. Race pace wasn't quite as good. He did go backwards in the races. His results were 12th and 10th over the weekend. That wasn't helped by Van Gisbergen kind of taking him out on that first lap in Saturday's race, which did some damage to the car. And then obviously they had the pit lane issue with the Premier Air boys on Sunday, which wasn't massive, but it did cost him a little bit of time. Cam Hill, very quiet weekend from him. Yeah, other than the rear bar falling off on Sunday, he didn't get on the telecast too much. That obviously didn't help his results over the weekend either. But yeah, he was towards the back of the field pretty much, really. Walkinshaw and Andretti United. Chaz was the top guy running the 3-stop strategy on Saturday. Used that impressively to get himself on the podium. It was the bottom step, but it was still on the podium. Sunday, it would have been interesting to see how he went on Sunday with the whole parity talk after what he did on Saturday, being the top Mustang runner. But unfortunately, he tapped the wall in the top 10 shootout, which meant he started 10th. Then he had that steering failure early on. So he was out of the race, and yeah, we just didn't seem to, we didn't get to see where he could have ended up. Nick Percat. He did race from 22nd to 13th on Sunday. That is something. And he also burned out of the weekend on Saturday after Frosty spun him around when he kind of dived him into turn 1, and he tried to get it back on track as quick as possible and did that massive burnout. Yeah, that's probably the highlight of the weekend from Percat. Dick Johnson Racing. Anton finally looked like a team leader again. Let's forget about all the issues on Saturday, the electrical gremlins in the car. Sunday, he did have tyres left over from Saturday, which they used to great effect. 3-stop strategy, flat out, new tyres each pit stop, and yeah, he bolted that in. Yes, he had the fresh tyres, but yeah, they were fast in that race. Yeah, I don't know what more to say about that one. Davison did make both shootouts. He just never seemed to really fire during the races though. Team 18, a bit of a strange one from them. Pye was 6th on Saturday. Frosty was 7th on Sunday. They were 11th in the opposing races, but I don't know. They didn't see much of them on TV. They just it was very solid from them, but very, anonymous weekend. Tickford Racing. Could the change of number be a catalyst for the change in fortunes for Declan Fraser? He didn't seem to go and do any lawn mowing over the weekend. Potentially his best result of the year, 16th on Saturday. There, yeah, it just wasn't bad from him. Saturday overall was a pretty good day for the team. The other guys were 5th, 9th and 13th. Probably overall their most solid day of the year. Sunday, I think they probably went in the wrong setup direction. Randall was the best finisher in 8th. Waters and Courtney were 15th and 16th, with Fraser down in 19th. Qualifying pace over the weekend, though, was definitely there. Waters was third on Saturday and then pole on Sunday. But yeah, once again, is it a setup thing or is it parity? I seem to be saying this with all the Ford teams, so it's very hard to judge right now. But yeah, there's something going on there. Will we have more answers in Sydney when they've had a bit more time working on this new aero configuration? Brad Jones Racing. I thought these guys must have missed a pit stop or something, kind of on both days, because they just all of a sudden seem to be up the front, right? Yeah, just a really, really solid weekend from Fullwood and Jaime. Results 7th and 8th on Saturday, podium for Jaime on Sunday with Bryce in 9th. Really, really solid two-car team. It is now no surprise that they are third in the team's championship. Jones was 15th on Saturday and Smith was 14th on Sunday. So even not too bad a weekend from the B team either. AAA Racing. I was fully expecting Shane to come back after his NASCAR jaunt and just dominate the weekend. He was beaten in both races by Feeney. Granted, the Sunday one, he showed he was not happy with the team orders. I can understand it is very early on in the season for team orders. I can kind of understand their reasoning that they wanted the team round win overall if they couldn't get a podium or a win. Team orders aside though, is a little bit of a weird kind of weekend for Shane. He did kind of dive bomb Brown going for the lead into turn 1 in race 1, and then tangled with LeBrock later on that lap. Obviously did end up 4th at the end of the day, but then Sunday he had the whole qualifying thing where he got out of the car and then made a mistake on his flying lap in the end there, and ended up starting last. He tangled with Fraser and spun around and then just seemed to kind of potter around for a bit there. Then all of a sudden he was up with Feeney after we had the safety car and whatnot. Just like magic, he kind of ended up at the front of the field. And then the whole thing with team orders. Not a bad weekend though when you're saying it's an off weekend and you're 4th and 5th. Once again, this whole year hasn't felt very Shane-like. I'm starting to really feel like he is going for next year. We won't see him around. Feeney, on the other hand, just a really, really solid weekend. 2nd and 4th over the weekend gave him the round win. We're starting to call it that once again. Don't know why, but anyway, Triple Eight trying to grasp at straws for winning things over the weekend. But he's only 26 points off the championship lead. So yeah, that there is nothing in there. Maybe he should be a little bit concerned about who his co-driver is in the endurance races, because this seriously could be Feeney's year. He could take out the championship this year the way he's going. Erebus, some reliability gremlins kicking in with them this weekend. So Brody lost second gear on Saturday, which ended up 19th overall. That a little bit of a strange one. Just watching the inboards on that, you expected him to just be a sitting duck, and he was kind of making it work. He did end up 19th, but that should have been a clear last position. Will Brown, he just Saturday brilliant when Brody wasn't there, essentially dominated the race, took over the championship lead, but then on Sunday he had that power steering problem. We say he could only manage 6th at the end of the day on Sunday, but only 6th. It's not bad. Did mean Brody did close the gap back up in the championship. There's only 7 points between them now. I suppose that was a bad weekend for them. You know, some little bit of reliability issues, and yeah, Triple Eight's kind of gnawing away and getting closer and closer. They did still get a win over the weekend though, so yeah, not too bad overall. So that's my review of the racing over the weekend. Apologies for all the parity talk and the caveats basically with every team at the end, like, well, maybe the parity, or maybe they need to work on setup. Down in the comments, let me know, do you think we should be making changes before Sydney, or do you think we need at least a round or two to see if the current changes have made a difference, considering it was kind of, I mean, the teams were bolting on the changes on the Friday and 2 30-minute practice sessions. I personally think that all the Ford teams should be allowed to have a test day before Sydney now. They just get a freebie test day to work on the setup, and Tickford can go out there with the 4 cars, Groves, DJR, Walkinshaws can take both the cars, and just go out and test and see where they're at, because at the moment, like the Camaro guys have had a full 6 months and half a season of racing now to get their heads around the cars, while the Ford guys have had these changes kind of thrown at them, and you've got to work on it on the fly. There's obvious pace there, but then over a full race, as I said, would have been interesting to see what Mostert could have done if he'd had got into the race on Sunday, and whether he went backwards or whatever and said, hey, we went in the wrong setup direction, because he was very competitive on Saturday, but then he did also use the 3-stop strategy. So, but then also he wasn't changing 4 tyres at each pit stop like Anton did as well. So, there's a lot to go in there, and it probably would be easier if we didn't have, some of those caveats like Anton's electrical problems or Chaz hitting the wall. So, yeah. Anyway, let me know down in the comments what you think. Overall though, once again, the racing was good over the weekend. It kept me entertained, unlike some of the other categories that might be kicking around at the moment that are a lot more lopsided. And you may have thought I'd forgotten, but no, I didn't. Comment of the week this week goes to John Retsky. I think I said that right, in response to the NASCAR, the live video about Shane Van Gisbergen's win, or Van Cheeseburger or something, The Yanks butchered his name pretty good on that one. The comment was, top 5 finishes were Camaros. Just saying. I had the biggest chuckle over that one during the week. Thanks very much for that one, John. I didn't forget. I'm going to try and keep doing that each week. So yeah, down in the comments and have some fun. Until next time, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.